guys. I am sorry I'm late. I was actually talking with someone about the Delphi news and some stuff, and got caught up in that and then realized, I'm supposed to be live on something else. So, hello. Hi, Lisa Hobbs. I haven't seen you in a very long time. Good to see you. Hi, Rosalita, Margot, Robity Bob, Captain Lee Fan, Nicole, and Janae. Let's see. Deborah Vancouverden, Earthbound Spirits. Let's see. Oh, I'm only in top chat, and that's going on. Okay. Let's see here. Fazia, I haven't seen you in ages. Hi, Leslie Romani. Good to see you, Fazia. Farm Wife, Wyla Wick, Starflower. Hi, everybody. Okay, so we're going to go over this development in the Officer Pratt at the time. He is now Detective Pratt at the Moab, Utah stop with Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. Well, he had a little bit of a incident, if you want to, domestic incident, if you want to call it that, with a woman that he met on Tinder, dated for a little bit, then found out she was married, ended up having the husband arrested. We're going to look through his statement from that time. We are also going to expand on last night the motion that was filed by the Laundrie parents. We're going to read the actual motion itself, and I haven't forgotten about the Delphi development as that's developing. I'm trying to gather some more information, go over the suspect's Facebook, etc. So we're going to be doing that at 11:30 tonight. If you want to call in or add anything to that, you can join us at 11:30. And then after that, we're going to play our new real estate game after the Delphi. But and Jimmy has a concert coming up on Sunday. Let's take a look at what's going on. I'm going to pull up the officer's statement up onto the screen. So you remember this officer. Let me pull up. Let me see if I have a still of him on the scene right here. Okay, there he was speaking with Brian Laundrie. And if you want to go back to any of the actual videos, we do have them on our site. And we're going to look at his statement, which he's going to say that the woman that he met on Tinder denied being married, but then a man told him they had been married during a commitment ceremony and they consider themselves to be married. So let's take a look at his statement first. I'll pull it up here. Okay, and it is redacted with names. So it says on January 31st of 2019 and February 4th of 2019, I dated, and the name is redacted. On February 7th, I think he means not and, but through, right? It was quite a brief courtship, huh? On 2/7/2019, I was contacted by a name redacted who stated that the name redacted, which we can infer is the woman he was dating, was his wife. So it's looking like the husband is calling Officer Pratt and saying, hey, you're dating my wife. I confronted the man about that statement from the girlfriend, I guess, and she stated she and him were never married. I spoke again with the man who said that they had been married during a commitment ceremony, and that although it's not a marriage recognized by the state of Utah, that he and the woman that Pratt was dating consider themselves to be married. Finally, I spoke again with, it looks like the woman this time, who stated that she does not consider herself married to this man. Due to my concerns over blank and blank situation, the woman and the man, I decided to act only as a friend to the woman and not date her any further until things between her and the man were more crystallized. On February 9th, 2019, at 20:50 hours, while I was off duty and out of town, I received a call from blank blank phone number. I answered and said hello, but instead of getting a response, I overheard what sounded like blank and an adult male engaged in some sort of emotionally charged altercation. So we can infer he got a call from that girl that he was dating, woman that he was dating, and when he answered, it sounded like she and this adult male were engaged in some sort of emotionally charged altercation. I could hear blank's voice saying, "Stop, blank, I need to go to the hospital." And the male voice saying, "Let's go, we'll go right now." I heard blank's voice telling him no, and the male voice telling her, "Get in, we'll go to the hospital right now." Blank responded, "No," and told him to please move repeatedly. I also heard the adult male telling the woman, we can infer, he was going to call an ambulance. The woman was crying and very emotional, which was in stark contrast to the male voice, which was overtly measured. Soon, the phone hung up, and at that point, I called the Grand County Sheriff's Department Dispatch Center and relayed the information I've overheard on the phone call. My phone records calls automatically, and so I was able to save the audio from that call. I soon spoke with responding officers Landon Levitt of Grand County and Ryan Burston of the Moab Police Department and forwarded them both the recorded call. I learned through speaking with them and also through follow-up communications with blank that she somehow arrived at the Moab Regional Hospital's ER. Over the following days, it looks like the woman relayed to me that she'd been in a domestic dispute with the father of her child, identified as blank, and that during the dispute he struck her in the head and face repeatedly. She stated that after striking her, he began telling her that she had fallen and hit her head on an ice chest in the garage and suffered a concussion, which according to him explained why she had a distorted memory of what had actually taken place. Because my personal cell phone is set up to automatically record calls, I sent a copy of the call to Deputy Levitt. Now, isn't that funny? His personal cell phone is set up to automatically record calls. That's interesting. I sent a copy of the call to Deputy Levitt. Officer E. Pratt, 2:15, 2019, 21:29 hours. So that's his witness statement. And the man, let's see, here, let me go over here for a little more. So when he called Levitt, so he reported the call to the Grand County dispatchers. A county sheriff's deputy and Moab police officer met the couple at the hospital, and they arrested the man on domestic violence charges, but those charges were later dismissed and expunged. I responded to a call for a welfare check due to a phone call received by MCPD Officer Pratt, said Landon Levitt in his incident report. While I attempted to perform the welfare check, I was advised the parties in question were at the emergency room of the Moab Regional Hospital. Levitt, accompanied by a Moab police officer, arrived at the hospital and interviewed the wife, who had a 3-inch red and purple lump next to her right eye and other bumps on her left cheek and forehead. She told the police she was in the laundry room at home when her husband punched her in the stomach and then in the face. She claimed that next she was struck in the face by an object which she was unable to identify. She later told prosecutors, however, that there is more than enough reasonable doubt that she didn't remember what happened and asked for the charges to be dropped. The man claimed that she had been drinking heavily. He told officers that he didn't see what happened in the laundry room, but he heard a thump and believed that she fell and hit her head and got a concussion. Let's read the incident report now. Okay, let me just make sure everybody can hear well, because you know what? I am not I just want to make sure everybody's hearing well because I can't see the chat, and I want to just put it up so I can see that you guys are hearing. Let's see. Again, if you're coming in, this is Officer Pratt, who is now Detective Pratt, and was the lead officer in the Moab, Utah stop, okay, back in August of 2021 with Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. So let's, hi Elizabeth W. and anyone else that snuck in here when I was over here. Hi Linda. Billy Boy Blue, hello there. Okay, so let's go back over this now. So this is from Landon Levitt, and it was 2/9/2019, 20:59 hours. I responded to a call of a welfare check due to a phone call that I received by MCPD Officer Pratt. While I attempted to perform the welfare check, I was advised the parties in question were at the emergency room of the Moab Regional Hospital. After arriving and performing an initial investigation, I placed the male party under arrest for domestic violence, aggravated assault, domestic violence in the presence of a child, and domestic violence unlawful detention. On 2/9/2019, at approximately 2100 hours, dispatch advised MCPD Officer Burston and myself of a welfare check which was needed. The reporting party was MCPD Officer Pratt, who had received a phone call from a female who Officer Pratt identified as, and her name is redacted. Now remember that this woman is someone he met on Tinder. And he met her on Tinder, but then he claims that he found out she was not being truthful about her relationship status, and so he decided to be just friends with her. Then he gets a call, and his personal cell phone automatically records calls, he says. And so this call where he hears this incident in the background where she wants to go to the hospital, and he's saying, I'll take you to the hospital. And she's very emotional and crying. So he hears this, sends that call through because, again, he has recorded calls automatically on his personal cell phone. And I don't know, is that the protocol for these officers to have that on their personal cell phones? I don't know. It doesn't sound like it would be, so it's a little sus to me, but whatever. Let's see what else is. So that's why. And then Officer Pratt was the lead officer at that Moab, Utah traffic stop with Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito. And we are also going to go over the Gabby Petito family lawsuit, the motion that the Laundrie family parents filed. The reporting party was Officer Pratt, who had received a phone call from a female who Officer Pratt identified as blah, blah, blah. Officer Pratt advised on the phone call there was a lot of yelling and going to a hospital. Officer Pratt reported that he could hear a male voice on the line. Officer Pratt advised Burston that blank lived at blank. Officer Burston and I arrived at the address in an attempt to make contact with them. We were unable to make contact with anyone at the address. At the time, dispatch informed me, blah, blah, was currently at the emergency room of the Moab Regional Hospital. Upon arriving at the hospital, I spoke with one of the ER staff. The staff advised me when redacted had arrived, the vehicle had dropped her off at the door and then left to park. Once the woman arrived, she advised the staff she did not want the male party in the vehicle to be allowed in with her and that she had been assaulted. Officer Burston and I arrived at the hospital and conducted an investigation. I met with the woman. I observed a large lump, approximately 3 inches tall, measuring from the top of the forehead to the base of the right eye, 2 inches wide and 1 inch deep, slightly above her right eye. I observed the area of the woman's right eye to be dark red and purple color just below the eyebrow. The skin just above the eyelid was swollen over the eyelid, causing the right eye to be partially obstructed. There was also a scrape with fresh blood on the bump above the woman's right eye. I observed a large bump on the woman's left cheek. I found a third large bump on the woman's left forehead near the woman's hairline. On the third bump, I observed a scrape and fresh blood. I asked the woman to explain to me what had happened earlier in the night. The woman stated that she had been in the laundry room of her house when the male, later identified as redacted, punched her in the stomach. The woman stated that she had gone into the garage, which did not have a light on. The woman stated the male punched her in the face. She then said she was struck in the face by an object which she was unable to identify. The woman stated she had lost consciousness due to the blow. In her statement form, the woman stated that she was also struck in the arm by the object. The woman advised me that the male had moved her to the couch in the living room and attempted to give her ice for her injury. The woman stated the male had left her side in order to get ice. The woman ran out of the house in an attempt to leave. The woman said the male forcibly removed her from the vehicle and took her back into the house. Once in the house, the woman called a neighbor to come and retrieve a baby monitor so she could watch over their 2-year-old son. The woman said she again arrived while the male was preventing the woman from leaving. I guess the neighbor arrived then. The woman stated that she had given the male a look in an attempt to let the neighbor, she had given the neighbor a look in an attempt to let the neighbor know what had happened. The woman stated, I guess the neighbor drove the both of them to the hospital. While driving, the male repeatedly told the woman that she had fallen into the ice chest and had a concussion. The male also stated that the woman had consumed more alcohol than she had and that her memories would be wrong. I asked the woman how much she had to drink. The woman stated she had 1 shot of whiskey in a mixed drink. During one of the woman's attempts to leave, she had called Officer Pratt in an attempt to notify someone of what had happened. The woman stated Officer Pratt was in her recent call history on her phone and was easy to call at the moment. The woman stated once they arrived to the ER that she had talked, I guess the neighbor the man into dropping her off at the door while he parked her, and that she had been assaulted. The ER staff then allowed the woman to a room and asked the male to stay in the waiting room. I asked the woman what she thought he used to hit her. She stated she did not know, but she thought it was wooden because she had pulled a splinter from above her eye. The woman stated that her and someone had previously been, Officer Pratt probably, had previously been in a relationship which resulted in, in the man. The woman stated that her and that man had previously been in a relationship which resulted in their 2-year-old son. The woman stated her and the man had been separated but living in the same house to take care of the child. The woman stated that she had recently attempted to start seeing other people, which had resulted in arguments between her and the man. The woman said the man had threatened her before, and she stated he told her he was going to kill her. Safety of the 3 dogs. Okay, going to kill her. The woman stated the man had owned multiple rifles and was scared for her safety and for the safety of the 3 dogs, which were pets in the home. Well, what about the little boy? Or the little girl, the 2-year-old? I took photos of the blank injuries. The woman signed a medical release waiver giving permission for her medical records. Okay, so it looks like the man was given the option of a no contact form. Person agreed and initialed all 3 conditions, refusing any contact from the man, I assume. initial contact with the man. This is, I was notified the male who had drove the woman to the hospital was in the waiting room of the ER. The male identified himself as blah, blah, blah by giving his name and information on a voluntary statement form. I began interviewing the man about what happened that night, and he stated that he and the woman currently lived together and had a child together. He stated earlier in the evening that he had been in the house while the woman was in the garage. He originally stated that she had gone into the garage to hang out and then said he had heard a large thump and heard the woman cry out. He stated that the woman had come in through the garage as he went to her. He stated that the woman had lost consciousness prior to coming into the house from the garage. He said he walked the woman to the couch and examined her, advised he attempted to give ice and ibuprofen to the woman. When doing so, the woman ran out the front door of the house and attempted to leave by driving a white Prius with a Utah license plate. He stated that he chased after her and prevented her from driving away. He attempted to contact a neighbor, and gives the neighbor's name, to take care of their child, a 2-year-old juvenile who was in the home. He stated he was able to have the woman sit in the front passenger seat of the vehicle, and so the neighbor didn't drive. The neighbor watched the child, and he drove her to the hospital. Once at the hospital, the parties were separated. While interviewing the man, I observed a fresh cut on his right hand and a cut which appeared scabbed over on his left hand. He admitted he was predominantly right-handed. I observed there to be a significant size difference between the woman and the man. He appeared approximately 6'5" and appeared 220 pounds, while the woman appeared to be approximately 5'9" and approximately 100 pounds. I continued to interview the man to determine what had happened. The man stated the woman told him she had tripped and fallen in the garage and hit her head on the chest freezer in the garage. The man stated the garage was cluttered, and he also stated the light was off in the garage when the woman had come in from the garage. The man stated that he believed the woman had lost consciousness at some point and had a concussion. While I remained at the hospital, Officer Burriston went to blank to interview the neighbor. The neighbor advised Officer Burriston that she had received a call from the man stating that the woman had fallen and needed to go to the hospital. The man asked the neighbor to come and retrieve a baby monitor, which she could, to watch the 2-year-old child. The neighbor stated she arrived, she observed the woman in the driver's seat of the vehicle and the man attempting to talk to the woman. The neighbor stated that the woman had exited the vehicle and had a very fearful look on her face. The neighbor stated the woman walked to her, gave her a hug, and entered the front passenger seat of the vehicle. The neighbor told me that she retrieved the baby monitor and left the home. Wow, she's watching the baby by just taking the baby monitor into her home. Is in an apartment. I mean, it's kind of weird. Why didn't she just stay there? Officer Pratt had supplied a recording of the phone call received by the woman. In the recording, a female's voice, which I recognized to be the voice of the person at the hospital, and a male's voice, which I recognized to be as the man at the hospital, was heard. The woman had repeatedly stated that she needed to go to the hospital. The male was heard saying that he wanted to call an ambulance. In response to this, the woman was heard saying that she needed to go to the hospital. The male stated he would take the woman to the hospital. After Officer Burriston interviewed the neighbor, he arrived back to the hospital where I met him outside. While speaking with the officer, I observed the man to be outside of the hospital speaking to someone on his cell phone. I re-entered the hospital to speak with a woman, I guess. When I entered her room, I observed her to also be on her cell phone, and she stated that she had been on the phone stated that the man had been texting, asking her if she remembered falling into the freezer. After interviewing both parties, I placed the male under arrest. I advised the male of his rights, which he stated he understood. I asked the male if he would be willing to answer my questions, which he stated he would. I advised the male his story did not make sense to me. I advised him of multiple injuries to the woman's face and told him, due to the location and number of injuries, I did not believe she had tripped and hit her head on the freezer. I explained I did not believe this because of the location and number of the injuries to the woman. I asked the man to describe further how they left the house. The male stated that while he attempted to call a neighbor, the woman had run out of the house and got into the driver's seat of the white Prius. The male stated he got into the front passenger seat of the vehicle and repeatedly turned the car off. The male said he slid over to the driver's seat of the vehicle, forcing the woman out of the car and stating that this should be she exited the vehicle and bear hugged the neighbor and took her in. Oh no, he stated that he exited the vehicle and bear hugged the woman and took her into the house. He stated that the woman again attempted to leave the house by driving the vehicle. The male stated that he again had stopped the woman from leaving when the neighbor arrived. The male stated that he was able to talk the woman into exiting the driver's seat of the vehicle and entering the front passenger seat of the vehicle so that they could drive to the hospital. After the male had been transported to the Graham County Jail, I again contacted the woman stated she had been released from the hospital and just arrived home. I asked the woman if I could come by the home and see the areas where the incident had occurred. The woman consented. I arrived at the home. She allowed me into the home and showed me where the incident happened. I observed a clear area by the chest freezer in the garage. I asked where her child was. She showed me the room where the child had been sleeping, which was approximately 5 to 8 yards away from the garage, and she stated the child had been in the room when the incident occurred. Based on my training and my experience, the injuries sustained by the woman appeared to be from multiple strikes to the head and face. This is due to the injuries occurring on both sides of the woman's face and multiple injuries on the left side of the woman's face. The injuries were received with enough force to cause the woman to lose consciousness and sustain obstruction of her right eye due to the swelling of the eye. During the incident, both the blank and blank stated the 2-year-old was in the home and in his room sleeping. The room was found to be approximately 5 to 8 yards away from where the incident took place. We've already read this. Hold on a minute. I got distracted here. Based on my training and experience, it also appeared though the male was attempting to maintain physical control of the woman in attempts to hinder the discovery or reporting of the assault which had taken place. This was demonstrated by the man stating that they could ice and rest and be okay, even though discovering the woman had lost consciousness. The male also exhibited an attempt to hinder the woman's ability to receive medical attention by forcibly removing the woman from the vehicle and preventing her from driving to the hospital. The male stated that he had prevented the woman from leaving the home twice. On the recording provided by Officer Pratt, the woman was heard stating that she wanted to go to the hospital, and the male was heard stating he wanted to call an ambulance. This appeared to be an attempt to not allow the woman to be physically separated from him at the expense of medical care. Once at the hospital and separated, the male continually sent text contacting the woman. And that's that. And now we're going to look quickly at the motion, high snow remover, that was filed by the Laundries. Hold on, let me just get that. In response to the Gabby Petito lawsuit. Let me just get that up here and we'll go through that. And then, let's see, so pull this up here. So this is in the Joseph Petito and Nicole Schmidt plaintiffs versus Christopher Laundrie and Roberta Laundrie defendants. This is filed, it was e-filed on 10/27/2022, which was yesterday. Defendant's motion for a protective order comes now. Defendants Christopher and Roberta Laundrie by and through undersigned counsel and hereby move for a protective order to limit the scope of their depositions to subject matters relevant to the cause of action pursuant to the Florida Rule of Civic Procedure Rule 1.280C. In support thereof, defendants offer the following. 1. Unquestionably, a trial court possesses broad discretion in overseeing discovery and protecting the parties that come before it. Hold on, let me just make this a little larger here. A motion for protective order is the proper method for restricting or denying a deposition. Upon proper application for good cause shown, the trial court may grant a protective order when justice requires. The rule is designed to protect party or person from annoyance, embarrassment, or oppression, or undue burden or expense. The burden is to show good cause lies upon the party seeking the protective order. The court may order that certain matters not be inquired into, or that the scope of the discovery be limited to certain matters. Defendants seek a protective order from the court prohibiting the plaintiffs from inquiring into irrelevant matters during their depositions in order to protect them from annoyance, embarrassment, oppression, undue burden, and expense. As the court is aware, this case arises out of the undeniably sad circumstance where defendant's son, Brian Laundrie, killed plaintiff's daughter, Gabby Petito, after which defendant's son committed suicide. This has been a truly heartbreaking experience for both families. The public who followed the case and the plaintiffs are likely curious about Brian Laundrie's life. Okay, so, and in his last days, his interaction with his parents and the thoughts and feelings experienced by his parents. But curiosity is not a reason to require the defendants to discuss such personal and heart-wrenching details. Rather, the discovery must be relevant to the cause of action at issue. The plaintiff's cause of action is one for intentional infliction of emotional distress. The elements are: 1. Deliberate or reckless infliction of mental suffering. 2. Outrageous conduct. 3. The conduct caused the emotional distress. And 4. The distress was severe. As the court found in its order on defendant's motion to dismiss, the Laundries had no legal duty to act or speak. As a result, the focus of discovery should be limited in scope to the time period of August 27, 2021 through September 19, 2021, the time period between the death of Ms. Petito and when her body was found and alleged in the amended complaint, and further limited to information related to the outward actions or comments of the defendants during that time period. Defendants do not seek to limit deposition questions about the attorney's statement on September 14, 2021, which the court found was the lone allegation of affirmative conduct in support of the cause of action. However, defendants expect the plaintiffs to inquire into the history and private experiences of the Laundrie family for purposes other than proving intentional infliction of emotional distress as defined in the court's order. As the court has already determined, the defendants have no duty to disclose any information to the plaintiffs, and, standing alone, defendants' actions or inactions in that regard do not support the plaintiff's cause of action. Therefore, questions about subject matter that did not result in specific acts or conduct alleged in the amended complaint are irrelevant to the cause of action for intentional infliction of emotional distress. As such information would not support the plaintiff's claim, the only purposes such questions would serve are to embarrass, annoy, oppress, and burden the defendants by having them discuss painful details of Brian Laundrie's history and last days and their personal experiences and grief before and after these tragic events. The defendants respectfully request the court protect Christopher Laundrie and Roberta Laundrie from being deposed about any details of their personal lives that do not relate to the attorney's statement alleged in paragraph 25 of the amended complaint that fall outside the time period of August 27, 2021 through September 19, 2021. Such an order would not prevent the plaintiffs from inquiring as to actions taken by the defendants and public comments made by them on or on their behalf. Discovery is usually permitted only on matters that are relevant or that are reasonably calculated to lead to the discovery of admissible evidence. Let's see here. Okay, here. I'm live, Jimmy and Luke. Hold on. I'm sorry. So let's see. Even given Florida's liberal discovery rules, we can see no nexus, much less legal relevance between contract at issue and defendant's contractual arrangements with other clients. Okay, and then we have, they're talking about Publix. Let's see, discovery. Let's see. Okay. The court has the authority to regulate as well as to prevent the taking of depositions upon a showing of good cause. Courts have routinely exercised such authority to limit depositions where the subject matter is irrelevant. Okay, they're going through. Generally speaking, orders compelling depositions often result in material injury that cannot be corrected on appeal or irreparable harm, because once the information is released, any damage cannot be undone. Of course not, right? Undersigned counsel has conferred with plaintiff's counsel, and the parties have been unable to resolve this issue. Wherefore, for good cause, defendants respectfully request the court enter a protective order limiting the scope of their depositions as described above. And so what this is that they don't want to talk about or be questioned about anything other than events that took place on the day that Gabby was killed, which they're putting as August 27th, 2021, until the day her body was found, September 19th, 2021. And their fears, I guess, are that questions will go back into, his childhood or type of parents they were, what happened, all of that, and what happened afterwards. Okay, after they reported him missing, and when they went into the Myakkahatchee Reserve. So this is what they're saying. The judge has not ruled on this. We don't know what will happen. We will see if he will agree to this. But that's what they're attempting to do, along with Officer Pratt. Now, I know there's big breaking news about the Delphi case, and I will be going over some of that. I have an appointment in a few minutes, so I have to get off this and get to that. But we will be back at 11:30 to discuss Delphi, so I will see you then. What I can tell you is that there is a arrest in connection to the murders of Abby and Libby, and that the subject is a 50-year-old male, Richard Allen, and he has already been moved for his safety. And apparently there is a photo of a girl, his daughter, on that bridge, so on a Facebook page, and there's also a video of him playing pool. He looks a lot younger and more agile than that person that was in that photo walking across that bridge, but again, he could be doing that for, to disguise himself. But we'll have to see. We're going to get into that tonight at 11:30. Good to see you, Lisa Hobbs. Mike, hello there. Anybody I missed? Margot. See you later on tonight. And everybody take care and have a good day. Love you guys. God bless.